Speaking of directions, do you listen to directions when your wife tells you not to watch you guys' favorite shows without her?
I do. I waited like I waited over a year to end up finally watching a show without my wife. Um,
No way. What show?
I think Mr. Robot, season 4 of Mr. Robot. And then I ended up watching it on my own because we watched the first 3 seasons. It was something that we watched together. And then actually, no, wait, I didn't wait a year. It was something else. It was because I saw Mr. Robot right away when I'm thinking of Better Call Saul.
Mm,
There was one season where we fell like and then it was like, oh, we'll watch it, but then we fell like a whole entire season behind and had to wait for it to come out on Netflix. And then when it came out on Netflix, I told her like I'm gonna watch it so I can, be up to date on like the final season.
mm-hmm.
So then we watched it separately and watched most of the final season separately too.
What's going on?
But
You guys need some therapy?
just really busy.
Okay.
It's
I've never committed. Well, I won't say that. I've never purposefully committed entertainment infidelity. My wife's she's an easy sleeper, right? Like she goes to sleep easy. I feel like this is a trait a lot of women have, but they work so hard, um, taking care of everything in our lives, in our households, in our families, and especially in 2023, where most women need to not only hold a job but maybe two. It's strenuous. So yeah, she goes to sleep easy. Let's just say that. And I've had a few moments where, we go to rewatch something, like, hey, might want to catch a couple more episodes. And then before you know it, I'm 3 hours past the point in which we stopped. But for the most part, I'm
wow.
I'm pretty good at staying true to her, staying monogamous in our entertainment relationships. My only
See,
problem is
go
you
ahead.
you can't hold a show hostage. Like when you told me that about your wife, that like your wife is like amazing to me. She's like an A plus plus for dealing with you. She lost one plus because of that.
Oh, so she's amazing just because she puts up with me, but she lost a plus because she made me. We were gonna watch Better Call Saul, and then I had to wait like over a year to finally see. I think what was Better Call was it 5 or 6 seasons? I whatever
Yeah.
it was like this penultimate season. I think it was season 5. I didn't see, and I had to see when it came out on Netflix, and then I saw season 6 all. I saw season 6 all live when it happened. But that's actually does that count because I like basically I got my wife's permission. I was like, "Hey, do you mind? I'm going to watch this without you." Because if she said no, I would have waited. So I'm gonna say it doesn't count. Here's my greatest infidelity, Brian, and it's not because I didn't watch the show without my wife, but Westworld. I heard the show talking about it and they brought up the multiple timelines, and it was
Mm.
already a show that was like on my radar that I wanted to watch. And then when the show talked about it, I was like, "Oh, now I'm like totally bought in, like I have to watch it." So I then convinced my wife to watch it with me, and then I was doing the whole thing of like I was like, "You know what? I think it's Jimmy Smith or whatever. I think he's Ed Harris and they're doing a multiple timeline thing." And I slipped that in there and made it seem like, yeah, I think this is going to happen, you guys. I'm pretty sure. And like, we watched it with like another friend of ours, and they're both like, no, no way. I'm like, you guys think about it. I'm pretty sure they're doing some sort of multiple timeline thing. And I played it off like I was just so perceptive, and I haven't told my wife about it. So
See, that there is not only gross, it's incredulous and it's disrespectful. And I will say this, your wife giving you permission to go ahead, she got her plus back.
see,
That easy. Hall
plus in
pass.
it. How you doing, fans? You doing good? Doing all right over here. Another episode of the Fan Batard. You got me, you got Brian. No tie, folks. Where's he at? I suspended him. Can't have these shenanigans with him trying to release Chris Cody's phone number, who I subscribe to on Instagram. For less than a price of a foot-long sub, you can get extra stuff from Chris Cody. And guess what? You can subscribe to our channel for free for less than the price of nothing. You get all sorts of stuff from us. Good stuff, right? Like our behind the scenes highlight talk. Oh my goodness. Who doesn't want more of that? Yeah, who doesn't want to hear about the XFL and who we should get on the show? You know, I looked up AJ McCarron's phone number. Maybe I'll send a text message. Maybe he'll do what Aaron Rodgers did to Schefter. Text me.
Don't threaten to
Lose
give it
my
out.
number.
Don't threaten to give it out, because if
I
you
won't.
do, I'll suspend you, and then I'll be on here by myself.
We'll see if the number's correct, folks. So go ahead, subscribe, comment. Who do you want us to see get from the XFL? I sent a couple Instagram messages out to some players. We'll see. I'm working. I'm grinding. You know how I be. I grinding that highlight tape, grinding. That's why I got the hat on. Hair's a mess because I don't have time to make my hair look nice. So I come home, I put this hat on. We're good to roll. Brian, I noticed your hair looks a little bit different.
Yeah. I had to let my hair out, let the curls out. Today's a sad day, Nate. Today's a sad day.
Oh, really? Why?
I'm a call. You know what? I'm gonna call a 1-4 flat. All right. I need to ISO this for a second. No jokes, because I'm speaking with a place of volition, a place of sadness, a place of joy, and a place of admiration.
That's a lot of places, but continue.
7 years, 103 games, 10,598 yards, 80 tutties, two-time rushing champ. Should have been 3, but he sat because we already had the playoffs in lock. The best overall back in the league from 2016 to 2020. And the best pass blocking running back his entire time as a Dallas Cowboy.
Oh.
It saddens me to know that I will no longer see Ezekiel Elliott with that star on the helmet going forward.
That's who you're talking about?
Yeah. That's who I'm talking about.
I was not thinking about Zeke.
Well, because most people don't think when they talk about Zeke, they just react. And that, unfortunately, like, to the people who watch the games, who have seen many of a blown up run for a loss turned into a 2-yard game because of his hard work. It's something that, it's so interesting seeing how everything that involves the Cowboys generates opinions, but most of them aren't valid, even most of them by the fans. And I'm just speaking from a place of love, because he was this recent iteration of the Cowboys. It was 21-4. They got matching chains, medallions. And listen, Dak's on his own now. And I'm okay with it. That's why I said it's from a place of joy, because it needed to happen. I'm not here to defend the decision. It needed to happen. Yep. It's just, you look around the league, and how many players can you attach yourself to, Nathan?
I mean, and how many running backs can you think of that played center and just performed so admirably? You talked about his pass blocking tenacity, his skill there. And when I think of Zeke, I think of that last play where he was the center and, he graciously allowed himself to get pancaked so they could attempt a crazy play.
All
get
for
that
the team.
8-yard completion, right?
Listen,
so much skill.
He put his body on the line. He will probably never be the same human ever again because of his 7 years. And obviously the years at Ohio State didn't help either. And I thank him for it. Thank you, Zeke. And it's something that I didn't realize I could be sad about a player leaving Dallas again after Romo. And I'm not as sad, but I'm like, damn, Like it's gonna hurt. So I wish him happy trails. And I hope he finds joy and happiness wherever he goes. And hopefully he gets another shot, even if he has to become, a little Mike Allstott about things. You know? And it's unfortunate that the Cowboys couldn't continue the running back marriage of Zeke and Tony going forward, Tony being Tony Pollard, obviously. But oddly enough, you know who will be staying in a committed relationship, although there's now a new lover in the room.
Mm.
One Mr. Pablo Torre.
That's right, Pablo. We got him, folks. They got him. That's right. I'm really excited. Did you subscribe to his Here's the Thing, Brian?
I'm doing that as we talk. I wanted to do it live on the show.
Wow. Look at you. I need some more Pablo in my life. I am excited. Love Pablo. I think he's a great addition to the show, and I definitely need some more of that Pablo talk in my life. Looking forward to it and seeing how the shipping container is going to react with him. He's going to up the smile factor of the show. Here's the thing. The Savannah Bananas. The Cesta Cyclones have crashed hard this season. Why is that? Maybe we can get them on God Bless Highlight.
I was hoping you didn't do that. Stop with the smiling thing.
So Pablo, I've already had an interaction with Pablo. I subscribed to his Here's the Thing yesterday, Brian. Because that's how I be. You tell me I can subscribe to something,
You're there.
Hats off to Pablo. There's my hair for the YouTube audience. Hats off to Pablo. It's free, So I subscribed to that. And then, I tweeted about it and I said, I hope the first thing he covers, or one of the things he covers, is the Cesta Cyclones collapse this season. And he liked it. So maybe he's going to write about it.
Pablo is going to inject this show with so much needed juice. Pablo is someone who I've never seen. Pablo.
You've never seen Pablo?
There was more to that. I've never seen Pablo
okay.
mail anything in his life. He shows up all of the time, 90% of the time, most of the time. So I'm excited to see what that just feels like. Some new blood, like shake things up. Sometimes, you ever seen stale air?
No, I've never seen stale
Exactly.
air. I felt it. Right now, my classroom's feeling stale. I've never seen it.
If you look at some of the videos that we see on the YouTube channel, go subscribe to Dan Le Batard Show YouTube channel after you subscribe to the Fan Le Batard YouTube channel. Some of those clips, there's a staleness in the air. And this is just going to come in like a wrecking ball. And guess what? He is someone with a brain. Not saying there aren't brains there, but there's certain people that Dan can't be like, hey, idiotic opinion guy, shut up. Like, he can't do that the same way that he has to show Bomani respect, the same way that he has to show Amin respect. He has a thing about just showing black people respect. I wonder if it applies to the way that he has to show Tom Haberstroh respect when he talks about sports. Listen, I'm interested. Anytime you can see a power dynamic shift, just in terms of intellectuals in a room, I'm here for it. I'm stoked. And here's the thing. I just want to say it.
Well done. Here's the thing for me. I've got a message for some folks out there. The haters. That's right. The haters, Brian. If you've been on the Reddit of the Le Batard Show, you've maybe seen something that goes like this. The haters out there. The show hasn't been as good since they left ESPN. They shouldn't have left ESPN. They're not as good. I can't even listen anymore. Well, guess what? They're getting the band back together. This is the first one of the dominoes to fall. They got Pablo, and I got a message for the haters. How about haters? Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah, huh? Out here complaining? Yeah, maybe you should...
Stay low! Keep your freaking mouth shut! Shut up!
Yeah, out here complaining. Guess what? They're going to build it back up. How about you show a little patience, huh? Show a little patience, maybe a little restraint.
Stay low.
What's your
Go ahead.
stay high? What's your thoughts on a continuing partnership between Pablo and ESPN with Meadowlark being sandwiched in the middle? I guess Pablo would be in the middle, but I like doing this like this: Pablo, ESPN, Meadowlark. How is this? Because in the past we've seen previous interactions between ESPN and anything Levitard related, and it didn't look too smooth in terms of not giving credit, in terms of, kind of shying away from listing the credentials of the people they're talking about, and the people they're talking about are the people on the show who are ex-employees at ESPN. How do you think this is going to play out?
So, I mean, I think that's an interesting point you bring up, that it is unique that Pablo is maintaining a role with ESPN and still getting to work for Meadowlark. But in terms of some of the things you mentioned, that's just kind of the way ESPN rolls. They do a lot of that stuff where they take something and they don't really credit it. They'll say, like, on a podcast, right? The off the look on a podcast on Wednesday, right. ESPN does kind of do that with not always crediting sources. So that's not outside of the norm. To me, I think it shows like still the power and reach of the Levitard show, and maybe just the unique relationship where, sure, things didn't end well, but they were actually able to leave sort of amicably by they can still play old sound and stuff. And now they still have Pablo. They were able to keep, there's a lot of unique stuff that the show's been able to do since leaving ESPN. The fact that, again, they were able to start right away. Normally they would have had to, like, ESPN could have forced them to, nope, you're going to have to take some time off. You can't, right? That's
a no compete clause.
Yeah. So they were able to just fire it up the very next day. And now we have this unique situation with Pablo. I mean, I think it shows maybe appreciation for Dan, or maybe it still shows like the reach and power that the Dan Levitard podcast has, that ESPN perhaps sees this as a good thing.
Speaking of a good thing, fresh off the presses, I have footage of Billy Gill's opening pitch.
Of his opening pitch, you have footage.
I have footage. You can see that footage right now if you go to the Levitard Show on Twitter. It's not secret. But I'm just letting you know that I saw it. And not only did I see it, for our audio listeners out here, I'm gonna review it.
Wow.
So,
okay.
He gets a point.
Hold on.
If your power goes out,
oh, nope. I'm trying to. That was not the. Let's see here. Nope, that's not what I want either. Never mind, Brian. You just roll. Wait. Coming to you live, folks. It's Brian Green reviewing Billy Gill's first pitch.
Pause up out there, FIU alumni and fans. Here's Brian Green here to give you a first take look at Billy Gill's first pitch. So he strikes some questions. He takes the world by the balls, and oddly enough,
Okay.
The pitch seems to be more of the latter. So from the mound, he gets a point from there. You automatically get a point from the mound, regardless. I did see some warm-up pitches with him and some of the players earlier on the field, and he looked good, but no showmanship. So he loses a point for that. He just got straight to the mound and said, "Here it goes."
Yeah, but it's Chris Cody. I mean, I wouldn't expect it's Chris Cody who's the showman, right?
Regardless, everyone needs to be a showman at certain points. You sing the national anthem, you got a showman. Not saying it's right, but you got a showman. How many times you're going to be given this opportunity? Billy Gill, with this pitch, might not ever get it again, because low and away with no batter up there is scary to me, especially when you practice. So I love it. I love the attempt. I'm not signing him to any team in the World Baseball Classics, and I'm giving it overall a C+. Back to you, Nate.
Wow. Thanks for that breaking news update, Brian. Speaking of other things that have felt, that's breaking news. Something that I've seen is someone breaking or their facade cracking is David Sampson recently on the show with just the way he goes at Adnan. Now, personally, I really enjoy David Sampson on the show. I feel like when he talks about sports, he brings a unique perspective. He's honest, and he brings a unique inside perspective that I don't think you hear in a lot of different places. So I really like him on the show. I'm very interested in that, but I do understand that he is someone that's controversial that not everyone likes because of his history with the Marlins and bilking Miami and their tax money and all that. But I like him. But I do find it odd, his interaction with Adnan, of how he just goes really hard at Adnan, of, saying how he's not, qualified. I think it's fine for him to think is better, but he gets a little personal, I'm like, hey, it's not personal, David Sampson. It's just business. Like,
It's nothing personal.
it's nothing personal, David Sampson. So he feels very personal with Adnan, and it makes me uncomfortable.
That might be him calling you now. So listen, as someone who used to go to the same gym as Adnan,
Wow.
let me say this: he's a nice guy, and I think the reason why this kind of rubs some people the wrong way in terms of his angst towards Adnan is solely because Adnan is a nice guy. It almost seems a bit of a bullying perspective, because Adnan ain't gonna get in the mud with it. Adnan ain't gonna send shots back, because that's just not what he does, and that's cool. I personally enjoy Samson. I enjoy the fact that he at least says something different. Right or wrong, I'm here for new ideas, new perspective on life. And if everyone's agreeing all day, I don't want to hear it. So at least offer me the opportunity to hear something from a different way. So when he comes at us with the cold, calculated, mechanical thinking, I'm here for it. His love of going at Adnan, fam, it's what it is. You got to take the good with the bad, right? You can't have the Codys without having the Codys. Like, you got to deal with having them great moments and then all the rest of them. So, like, you gotta listen. I'm here for it. I think they should be making David Sampson a Meadowlark employee, because he arguably works harder than 90% of the people that are on the show.
And it does seem like he clearly wants to be a part of Meadowlark, because, his response to the Pablo hire is, can someone tell them I should be next? Pablo said, #wait to see. But I think that's interesting. So I agree. I'd be fine if he was a part of Meadowlark, but do you think, it makes me wonder, like, have they had the opportunity? Has something like already like come up where they could have taken him away from his current situation? I think he's with like CBS maybe or something like that.
I don't know if
they didn't.
I don't know if something came up and it just for some reason fell through. I think there's a kind of, no one wants the needy girl. Like, no one wants the person that wants to be wanted. And I think he's coming on a little bit too hard from that perspective.
He's mentioned it before.
He's mentioned it, yeah, enough. And he kind of always throws like little slights in there. And it's one of those things where it's like, maybe they're just assuming he will always be there. He will always be in the back pocket to touch on for content, for the ability to bring along. So they're like, you know what? Let's get the big whales first. Let's go get the Pablos. Let's get the Amines. Let's get the Kate Fagans. Yeah, let's get them. But let's get the everyone. Because guess what? We don't got to worry about him going nowhere, because he's always going to love me. But guess what? Even Urkel got over Laura at one point.
And that just went right over my head, folks.
White guys. Well, white. Speaking of white guys.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of some white guys, I'm done with Aaron Rodgers. I am so fed up with this. Look at me, Louie. I think Mike Schur hit the nail on the head. Guy's a narcissist. He's coming to the Jets here, making all like, what? I mean, obviously he did throw in like he's had already all his seasons are like would be the best Jets quarterback seasons ever. But what has Aaron Rodgers done in the last season to warrant that he's this demand guy? It's just, I'm so done with this guy. And honestly, Aaron Rodgers,
stay low.
just stay low, brother. Because guess what? You're going to New York. You don't have the history there. They are not going to put up with it when you start to stink. And here's my hot take, Brian.
Okay.
The Jets will be worse this season. Aaron Rodgers, if it all works out like he intends and comes to the Jets, they will be worse. Hot take. They will be worse than they were this year because Aaron Rodgers is a coward.
I got one for you.
Stay low.
I got one for you. And fans, make sure you chime in on this on our socials. Which group of athletes are worse at being GMs? Football players or basketball players? Because him wanting to bring along the lizard, Alan Lazard, and Randall Blue Eyes Cobb, and effectively lowering, to me, the ceiling of talent that's already there with those wideouts.
Exactly. Mercedes Lewis, trash. Like, that's going to be like, really? They already have Conklin. He's a sufficient tight end. Mercedes Lewis is like totally washed. Like, what is the people that he wants to bring? OBJ, he didn't even play like this whole entire season. Like, who knows what you're going to get out of him? Alan Lazard. What has Alan Lazard ever done? What he wants is he needs these guys who he can teach, who already know his route tree, his 3-yard out tree. So he has his check downs. Because when Aaron Rodgers gets scared in the pocket, he needs his safety blanket. Coward. Jets will be worse this season. Patriots had a little regression. Bill Belichick's going to pick that up. Bills are still the Bills. Dolphins are going to be better. Hot take, Tua is going to be healthy this year. Concussions for Tua. If I had to set an over under concussions on Tua,
1.5.
1.5. Oh, under 1.5. I think he has 0 concussions next season. 0.
All right. I was with you up until that point.
0 concussions.
Because of the judo.
I'm going to say Dolphins win that division. Bills second. Patriots third. Jets last.
So not only will they have a worse record than previous year, they will also come in fourth. And what happens to Aaron Rodgers after that? We need 3.
I mean, depends with the New York media. Like, he's gone. Retirement, or he's on to another season. And Brian, to go back to your question, who are the players that we know? There's LeBron who makes demands, but in terms of football, is there really another player who's been like Aaron Rodgers who comes with this list? Like, sure, Tom Brady's done it, but it doesn't have the same vibe. Like, to me, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady comes with like, maybe try to get these guys. I want them, but it doesn't also come with the like, do it, or, do what I say. Like, there's this certain, I don't know, there's more arrogance behind the way that Aaron Rodgers is going about it. Like, it's what I intend to, but you need to do these things. At least that's the feel that you get from it. From Tom Brady, like, one, Tom Brady can demand to play with whoever he wants because of what he's done. And obviously, I think you're going to have to go basketball players to answer your question, because if you put Tom Brady in that category, then you would say he's pretty good at it because he's been successful no matter what. But I don't hear these, like, you hear Tom Brady want, like, Antonio Brown. He wanted to get him and work with him, right? But it just has a different
And it didn't work out. It didn't work out.
Antonio Brown's talented. You could understand that, right? You can understand Antonio Brown. Who Aaron Rodgers is this guy. Again, who are these people he wants on their team? Total
Derek Carr wanted Devontae Adams. And
smart.
One of them ain't there anymore. So clearly it's a bigger sample size with NBA players, obviously. But it just kind of strikes me as an interesting idea that is it an across the board notion that players just aren't good at deciding what's best for the team in terms of personnel? Because it rarely, if ever, works out. You can argue the Heat, but that was come on, 3 of the best 12 players in the league. That's not a,
This has to be the worst example of it. Maybe LeBron James a close 1A though, because just Alan Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, it was Randall Cobb on his list again.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what? Like he's seriously trouncing around Cobb again. Like the guy's totally done. Like those, oh my gosh. Like it shows I am so done with Aaron. The guy's a joke. He is a joke of himself. I remember when all these things first came out of like these rumblings of like people don't really like him. He has this conflict with his family. I was like, oh, maybe he's just misunderstood. And now I'm like, I get it. I see it. Because if this guy's walking around like, give me Mercedes Lewis, give me Alan Lazard, like this guy, the more he puts himself out there and does all these things, the more I'm just like, boy, you're really unlikable. And it's got to be the worst. Like LeBron James maybe 1A. I don't think negatively on his Heat stuff. Shabazz Napier, that's an unknown product. That's someone that he wanted to
You
draft,
gone?
right? And no one, everybody flops on a draft pick. You can't count that against him. Now,
And
the whole
LeBron is fairly likable.
yeah, the Russell, I mean, actually, I've always liked LeBron, but I think a lot of people might argue with that statement and say LeBron's fairly likable. But all that to say though, what has he done that's made him unlikable anyway? But now we're bouncing around
Yeah,
all over the place.
it's subjective. It's subjective, right?
Trash.
It's subjective. Subjective opinions are meant to be subjective, especially sports opinions, where we do all these hypotheticals and all these things that we can't really ever have in a scientific lab result about. But one thing that we can tie down is our thoughts on the complete season of The Last of Us. Now, for this minute of pop culture preference, Nate has shared some off-air thoughts with us,
Yes.
Ty, before he went on his sabbatical. And
Suspension.
well, I like to say the S word. I like to say that one instead of the other one.
No, it's a full blown suspension.
He's in contract negotiations. We don't need those negative terms, sir. Would you like to share your opinion? Just a brief summary of your opinions on the show up to this point?
So basically, in our group messages, we were going back and forth, and I was sharing how through the 8 episodes up until the finale, I was sharing my thoughts of I felt like the show to me had this weird experience with it where played both the games, loved both the games, all-time great games. There are nothing like it. And the TV show is good, very good. And so much it's a weird experience having played the games that you watch it, that you see things you're like, whoa, that's literally taken straight from the game. Like I played that in the game. So much of it, even the set design looks so much like the game. They've been so faithful to the game. And I've liked all the acting performances, but ultimately I was reflecting on 1 through 8 and I was kind of like, did I need to watch this? It was something I was really excited about because I love the game and whatnot. But having looked back at 1 through 8, I was like, it was so close to what the game was that it's like, did I really need to see the show, or did I just kind of waste my time since it was so close to it that it just left me feeling like something was missing? Now, the finale actually did change that for me to where the finale, I thought the way they began it was great. That was something, because what I wanted was I wanted a little newness. I love newness. It was just so similar. Episode 3 was really their big change of the season so far, changing Bill's arc. And that was it. I wanted to see a new situation, specifically with Joel and Ellie. They didn't quite do that, but what they did is they gave some great character background, and they did put like an interesting new situation that made you think like, what would you do if you were in that situation? And it also gave some needed background context for why is Ellie immune, right? Which the game never really gets into. So that first scene, literally the first 5 minutes of that episode, I was like, this is fantastic. Love it. Let's see how they keep going with the finale and the rest of the episode. So it did turn it around for me, Brian, but I was in this place where it was weird. It felt like something was missing, but I could I was like, the show's good. They're so faithful to the game, but it just feels like so much of a retread that I was like, I'd rather just play the game again than have watched it.
So Thank you, Nate, for that. You said you opened it. You said the show was good. The show was really good. So outside of that, everything after that is just bonus. But it made me think, like seeing all the records that the show was breaking. Like, what are your parameters for something being universally loved, universally enjoyed, before kind of accepting the fact that you're just being a hater?
Mm,
Like,
hating to
like,
hate.
like it happens, right? We get it, especially in sports, right? We just said LeBron. That's one of the reasons why he's not liked is because he's universally loved. And one of the reasons why Jordan isn't liked is because he's universally heralded as the GOAT. You find yourself sometimes being in situations where you're like, yo, I'm just being a bum ass hater right now.
Sure. I think
Name one. Name one. When was the last time
when
you
was
were
the last
being a
just hating to
pure bum
hate?
ass
Oh,
hater? Yep.
you know, I'm a hater when it comes. I was a hater when it comes to the Cowboys, Lakers. Those were franchises like growing up. I would just hate those to hate them because everybody liked them. You know, I describe myself as like a sports hipster, hence, Toronto Raptors. Maryland Terrapins, my dark horse for March Madness there.
Okay.
Think they're going to upset Bama. Plus, that's also a hating to hate. Not a fan of everything that's happening around the Alabama basketball program with what the show's been talking about. So, hey, in my bracket, you know what I did? My favorite team's the Maryland Terrapins. So, what did I do? I picked them to upset Bama, make
Okay.
it to the Sweet 16. That's Nathan Minima's sleeper dark horse pick for all the people out there. So, yeah, I mean, I would hate franchises that are really liked. I would hate them just to hate them. But I've
Okay.
actually on those come around with them. Lakers, I mean, honestly, right now there's nothing that I'm a hater just to be a hater
Okay.
on.
Except The
But
Last of Us.
I wasn't hating,
They
bro.
didn't make the show for you, Nate. They didn't make the show for
Look,
you.
I'm
It's
just
okay. Like, why can't we just accept that sometimes things weren't made for us, our unique people? You've played, I'm assuming you played the remaster,
not the PlayStation 5 remaster,
the
no.
PlayStation 4 remaster. Did you play it on PlayStation 3 and then PlayStation 4?
I played it on PlayStation 3. My brother-in-law got me a PlayStation 4 that came with it, the
Okay.
remastered downloaded on it. I never played I
Okay.
played like parts of it on the PlayStation 4 and never replayed the whole entire game on the PlayStation
And
4.
then
And
played
I
2.
then played 2.
Okay. You, even with all that, you are still in a probably small minority, probably like 8% of people who are in your unique situation where
I think I'm even less than 8%.
I
Like
was
I
being
thought it was
generous.
weird. I shared it because I was weirded out by what I was feeling by the show. That's why I share. I'm like, you guys, this is, I mean, I didn't say that in the messages. I was just sharing my opinion, but I was like, I should share this and just like dialogue this out because this is really weird because it's a show that I like. It's, I put it, it's either my favorite game of all time, that
Hmm.
or the Mass Effect series for video games.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I would say whether or not it's my favorite, I would say arguably, I think it is the best video game ever made. The Last
Oh
of Us One.
shit. Shit.
I think it is. I think it's
Okay.
literally the best video game.
All
And I
right.
think, honestly, I think the show proves that. And it
Mm.
was so weird to me to be 8 episodes through it to have this feeling of, did I need to watch this? Because if you ask me, was the show good? I'd say yes. Was it good? Yes. But it was so similar to the game and they were so faithful to it, which shows again, the game is that good because people adapt all these games, but not to the point where they're literally copying almost the whole entire plot of it and, set pieces and stuff. But the finale for me changed it to where it was really well done. Again, that beginning part was exactly what I was looking for. Something new that wasn't from the game that added to it. I wanted to see like an episode that was a new situation that Joel and Ellie's put in because what makes the game so great is why does Joel do what he does? You can
Hmm.
talk about that. And that's what I was missing was something new to like talk about and discuss because everything felt the same.
Well, before we get out of here, quickly, was Joel right or was Joel wrong?
Oh,
Dun
I understand. I can't say if it's right or wrong. Well, I would say okay, wrong, but I understand it and I can't
He
argue
was
with
right. He was right.
it.
Stay low.
Stay low.
There you go. He was right.
Wow.
He was right. Listen, he was right. How the hell you going? Listen, these motherfuckers, the outbreak's been for 20 years, right? 20 years. That means that motherfucking Firefly doctor, I'm pointing to him, that Firefly doctor ain't practiced medicine in damn near over 20 years, or he learned during the damn motherfucking, what's that called? The apocalypse. So you trust this person? The people, they had to rely on Joel to get this baby girl all the way from one side of the country to the other. They barely could do it on their own. And those are going to be the people, those? Them? No, I'm sorry, baby.
Shut up.
Oh.
That's a shut up. That's a shut up in support of you.
Okay, yeah. Shut up. He did the right thing.
I was trying to get it in there, but you weren't really giving me
sorry,
window.
my bad. It's just I get. Yeah, you know what it is. But
you're animated.
Listen, one day.
So, just briefly, another thing that I loved about it is how they handled the whole Joel's thing, which is why. Like, I think the show's even communicating to you that what he did is wrong, but you can understand it. And even Joel knows it's wrong, because what I thought was great was they make that whole thing like in the game, you have to play it. You play through it, but you don't. And you have that feeling too.
Yep.
But you have to play it. You have to do it.
It's not a choice.
And here, what I think that the show adds is you get to see Joel's expression as he's doing it. And there were all these, it almost felt out of body.
Yeah.
It wasn't
memory.
The way they did it, the way they shot the scene, it wasn't necessarily an intense action scene. One, it had a feeling of inevitability to it. Joel is an unstoppable force, inevitable, and it almost seems like he knows it. He knows what he's doing is wrong and terrible and awful, but it's happening and it can't be stopped. And even if you notice, if you watch the scene where he shoots the doctor, he looks away and he still shoots the guy. So, right. I thought those little subtle things that they add to it added depth that actually wasn't there that you're feeling in the game, but you're busy. You talk back and forth.
Yeah.
Here, I think you can point to those things in the show, and I think the show's saying like Joel knows what he's doing is wrong and that he shouldn't do it. But he's doing it because he loves this person so much and he can't go through that loss again.
Listen, folks, Cinefoul, Foul, coming to you soon from Fan Batard. Cinefoul. It's a show.
Oh, Cinefoul. You're saying it's so close.
I even spelled it. I said Foul.
Yeah, I know. And then I had I'm a visual person. I was trying to arrange the letters in my head, and it took me that long to try and figure out that.
It's coming soon. Another show from Fan Batard universe. Nate, anything else?
I'm done. I'm tapped out.
Same.
Tune in next time.
Maybe Ty will be off his suspension by then.
We'll see, unless he brings these same shenanigans. Find out.
Dun, dun, dun.